society, there seems to be a new disease emerging daily. Maybe it's due to the new refined methods of producing food. Maybe it's due to all of the pollution that has occurred over the past century. No matter what the reason as to why these diseases and illnesses are showing their ugly face, there is a problem. With all of these new illnesses being discovered, there has been a dramatic increase in the amount of pharmaceutical remedies that are being offered. Many of today's medicines can have severe side effects, including death, that are actively being used by patients with health issues. Marijuana, which is illegal in many states, has many benefits to offer if legalized to people with certain sicknesses, to the government, and to people who consume it recreationally. Marijuana is a common substance to come across in today's society. According to marijuanaabuse.org, over 83 million Americans over the age of 12 have tried marijuana at least once. By examining the benefits to the sick, the benefits to the economy, and the benefits to recreational users, it will be shown that legalizing marijuana can not only help users of the drug, but potentially help our nation as a whole gain revenue and employ more people. First, let's look at how this drug works. If we look at how marijuana affects the body, what it can be used to treat, and how easy it is made, we will see that marijuana could be a great option for people with illnesses that may be treated with harsher, stronger drugs. According to medicaldaily.com, when you smoke marijuana, THC passes from the lungs to the bloodstream, where it is eventually picked up by two types of receptors, cannabinoid receptor 1 and 2. These long, rope-like proteins weave themselves onto the surfaces of cells all over the body, which helps explain increased heart rate, red eyes, pain relief, and other types of effects that are not purely psychological. That said, most of the action takes place in the central nervous system, where THC is carried by cannabinoid receptor 1. Here, the compound typically has about 2 to 4 hours to toy with a range of neurological functions, including, but not limited to, memory formation, appetite, and time perception. There's a wide range of illnesses marijuana can be used to treat. Marijuana can be used to treat and prevent the eye disease glaucoma, which increases pressure in the eyeball, damaging the optic nerve and causing loss of vision. Marijuana use can prevent epileptic seizures, a 2003 study showed. It also decreases the symptoms of a severe seizure disorder known as Dravet syndrome. Cannabidiol stops cancer by turning off a gene called ID1, study published in the journal Molecular Cancer Therapeutics found. Medical marijuana users claim the drug helps relieve pain and suppress nausea, the two main reasons it's often used to relieve the side effects of chemotherapy. THC slows the progression of Alzheimer's disease. The drug eases the pain of multiple sclerosis. Other studies suggest that the chemical also helps control muscle spasms. It lessens side effects from treating hepatitis C and increases treatment effectiveness. Marijuana treats inflammatory bowel diseases. Marijuana alleviates pain, reduces inflammation, and promotes sleep, which may help relieve pain and discomfort for people with rheumatoid arthritis, research is announced in 2011. A study published in the American Journal of Medicine on April 15th of last year suggested that pot smokers are skinnier than the average person and have a healthier metabolism and reaction to sugars, even though they do end up eating more calories because of the munchies. It improves the symptoms of lupus and autoimmune disorder. Pot soothes tremors for people with Parkinson's disease. Marijuana helps veterans suffering from PTSD, and marijuana protects the brain after a stroke. So how's medical marijuana made? It's grown. Answers.com states that the average time to grow a marijuana plant is 3 months. So what makes medical marijuana medical marijuana? According to MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org, the fact is all marijuana can be considered medical grade, meaning it has some therapeutic effect. If you're consuming medical marijuana to alleviate a medical condition or for the treatment of that condition, you're using marijuana medicinally, hence medical marijuana. Many believe medical marijuana has to be a minimum potency or that it should be grown organically, but those are strictly personal preferences. Marijuana only needs to be consumed by a person to treat a medical condition to be considered medical marijuana. Marijuana strength or potency is different from strain to strain, with lower strength starting at 2 to 3% THC and strong strains with a THC potency level of up to 30%. Stronger cannabis does mean less has to be consumed per dose, so if the patient smokes, stronger may be better in terms of their overall health. Organically grown marijuana, free of chemicals, fertilizers, pests, and their excretions, is also a better treatment option for patients. Purity and lack of contaminants, including molds, chemicals, fertilizers, or anything in your grow environment, including pests and their excretions, are important considerations that patients must weigh. Lower strength strains can be processed to make a hash or extract to lessen the amount needed per dose and are very useful ways other than smoking to get your medical relief. If you don't know where it was grown or who grew it, the marijuana you're consuming could be contaminated by anything. Commercial grade or street grade cannabis is often transported across the border in garbage trucks, used hazardous waste containers, and is often coated, wrapped, or covered with any number of chemicals to hide the scent from dogs and devices. It has also been reported that some street dealers are adding lead to bags of marijuana so that they are weighed more. Perhaps the biggest concern for marijuana consumers is improperly processed marijuana. Marijuana not properly harvested or dried not only adds weight, but also molds easily. Contaminants are dangerous enough for the healthy people, but they can be deadly for sick. Now that we've looked at how marijuana affects the body, what it can be used to treat, and how easy it's made, I hope it's obvious that marijuana could be a great option for people with illnesses that may be treated with stronger, harsher drugs. Now let's switch strains and look at the advantages legal marijuana has on the state. States that have already legalized marijuana have been enjoying the benefits to the economy that are produced. One of the benefits a state economy has when marijuana is legal is the tax revenue generated from sales. According to USAtoday.com, Colorado collected more than $3.5 million in taxes and fees from both recreational and medical marijuana sales in January, according to figures released by the state's Department of Revenue. Of that amount, more than $2 million came from recreational pot. Another benefit to a state's economy when marijuana is legal is that it can create jobs. In wake of the recent legalization of the recreational use of marijuana in Colorado, HighTimes.com says there is enough evidence to suggest that thousands of jobs have spawned in the event of retail weed. Now, thousands of people who would have otherwise been standing in unemployment lines have become vital contributors to the economic progress of their community. In fact, Colorado's unemployment rate recently dropped below the national average to 6%. That's the lowest it's been since the recession. When a state decides to legalize marijuana, another benefit is that this will help rid the overcrowded jails of minor offenses and make room for criminals with more serious offenses. BusinessInsider.com says more than 45% of all drug possession arrests in the U.S. last year were from marijuana, according to the FBI's annual crime report. Colorado has been a perfect example to show that legalized marijuana can benefit society in multiple aspects. Lastly, we can't forget about your average Joe. With no severe medical problems, he just wants to have a good time. When Joe is offered to try marijuana, there are many concerns that come to his mind. Joe is worried that there might be legal repercussions if he partakes in the social event. He is also worried that his marijuana may have some contaminants in it. He is also not familiar with what effects different strains of marijuana can cause to him. If states were to legalize marijuana, these matters would not be an issue. StateMarijuanaLaws.com states that under existing federal marijuana laws, punishment for misdemeanor and felony possession includes the following. CBSNews.com states, Heather Miller Coyle, a forensic botanist and associate professor at a university, says all sorts of nasty things not visible to the naked eye have been found in marijuana. Mold, mildew, insect parts, salmonella, and E. coli to name a few. That's why Coyle and her students earlier this year began developing a new process to detect contaminants in marijuana through DNA profiling and analysis. When Joe goes and buys marijuana on the street, which can have severe legal repercussions, he likely has no idea whether what he is buying is contaminated or how weak or strong the marijuana actually is. If marijuana was legalized, Joe wouldn't have to worry about the legal repercussions, and he could actually know what he's buying and how his body will react to it before the purchase. I can't comprehend why states are so reluctant to make the switch. I have illustrated that the legalization of marijuana is important to everybody. By examining the benefits to the sick, the benefits to our economy, and the benefits to recreational users, legalizing marijuana can help not only the users of the drug, but potentially our nation as a whole gain revenue, employ more people, and create room in the prisons for people who deserve to be there. Whether you have an illness, are unemployed and good at botany, a state looking for more revenue, or Joe looking to have a good time, the legalization of marijuana has much more benefits than negative consequences. America is going broke. People are taking medicines that can cause death, and jails are getting overcrowded. Narcotics Anonymous says insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. Thanks.